right, motherfuckers. We're going to talk about one of the best wrestlers of all time and 25 reasons why he is awesome. The wrestler we're talking about, of course, is none other than Dave Batista, motherfuckers. Dave Batista, when Batista debuted, I never really liked him, to be honest, just because, I didn't really like Triple H at the time, I just, he was a heel, and I was like, oh, man, Triple H is, getting old. I was starting to like new wrestlers. I always liked The Rock more than him anyways. I'm just like, oh, this guy's now gonna just be champion for a long time, and this asshole Batista's gonna help him. But very quickly, I realized that Batista is fucking awesome. All right, so let's go over why he is so great. Right, reason number one. All right, the Deacon Batista was a great character. For those of you that don't know, Batista's debut came when he debuted as the servant or the deacon, I suppose, the manservant, the guy, the assistant of Devon, right? When Devon and Bubba Ray split up, Bubba Ray ended up on Raw, and Devon ended up on SmackDown, where he became the Reverend Devon, which, in my opinion, was a gimmick that should have kept going because I loved the Reverend Devon. I was a huge Reverend Devon fan when that happened. I love the Dudley Boys. Devon is one of the most, I think, probably the most underrated wrestler of all time. But the reality is this. The Reverend Devon was a great gimmick that was later essentially copied by the Pope D'Angelo Dinero, right? But it was the same exact thing. Devon's supposed to be this corrupt preacher, But and I understand for everyone that's freaking out that the Pope was not a preacher. I understand that, But the point is they're very similar gimmicks, right? But Batista was just this guy who held the collection box for Devon, right? And now I'm thinking to myself, who the fuck is this guy? He is a monster, right? When you see someone on wrestling and you're like, what the fuck? Where do they find this motherfucker, right? I had that same feeling when I first saw Braun Strowman. I'm like, what the hell? Where do they scour this guy, right? Same thing with Batista, They're like the Deacon Batista. Plus, the Deacon Batista sounds like a badass name, So I always thought that was really cool, and I really wanted to see that go somewhere. The only place it went is with Batista clotheslining Devon and, just going off on his own eventually. But I thought that Deacon Batista was great, and that was pretty cool. Reason number two, he has transcended onto Hollywood. Easier said than done, cucks. Easier said than done. The Rock did it, Cena's doing it, and Batista did it before Cena. So I think that's really cool. A lot of other people have tried and failed, kind of. Randy Orton has tried a couple of times. Triple H, despite what he says, has tried. That didn't really work. But other people have had some success. The Miz has had some success, obviously. Big Show has had some success. And even Randy Orton and Triple H have had some success. So, that's pretty cool, I think. They definitely made him into a star. And Batista's definitely carried that torch forward. Now, unlike other people, Batista, The Rock, and Cena are in actual A-list movies, right? Especially The Rock, and now Cena is going to be in a bunch of A-list movies, as is Batista in many ways. So Batista is becoming a household name. He's becoming one of the few action guys that people actually recognize. So that's fucking awesome in my opinion, motherfuckers. Reason number three. In my opinion, Batista is single-handedly responsible for the success of the Guardians of the Galaxy franchise, motherfuckers. That's right. I put all of that on Batista. My philosophy is this. I did not know who the hell this Chris Evans, Chris Edwards, whatever, Chris Pine. I know there's three of them. Chris Pratt. I think this was Chris Pratt, right? He's actually my favorite one of them, but whatever, right? I didn't know who the fuck this guy was. I'd seen him in a few movies here and there. Nobody knew who the hell this guy was. Nobody knew who the girl was, right? I learned later that the raccoon is played by Bradley Cooper, and the tree guy is played by Vin Diesel, But let's be real. The only A-list star that's visible on that was Batista, motherfuckers. Batista. Batista's great. As far as I'm concerned, you can attribute all the success of Marvel to Batista if you wanted, It is what it is. Reason number four, he is Filipino, and I like Filipinos, motherfuckers. One of my close friends is Filipino, and I've always found Filipinos to be very nice people. So that's a good reason as far as I'm concerned. Cucks. Reason number five, the spine buster he did was awesome, motherfuckers. It is the only spine buster I've ever seen that felt like a finishing move, even though it really wasn't, when a wrestler has to wrestle someone that's bigger and stronger than them, right? Or someone that's exceptionally large. If Batista has to wrestle Big Show or Great Khali, it's not feasible that Batista can pick them up for the Batista bomb, right? So he is allowed to beat those wrestlers with his signature move, the spine buster, right? I often talk about the time when Cookie Rhodes beat Great Khali with a disaster kick, right? That's not believable. Someone spine bustering Great Khali and pinning him is believable because the spine buster is awesome when Batista does it. One of my favorite spine busters of all time, probably the favorite, you know, because he would pick up the guy with like basically one arm and like hold him up and then slam him, and then Batista would like somehow just like jump on his feet really fast, you know? So like he would slam him all the way down and then he'd just get up really fast. And it just made it look so awesome, you know? I love the Batista spine buster, one of my favorites. As a matter of fact, when I played the WWE games, you know, I actually almost never pick Batista because they don't have that spine buster anymore, the correct animation. Or maybe they've added it and I change it in the moveset, but they have like a weird spinning spine buster in the game, but that's not a hero there, motherfucks. The game is for another time, cucks. Next up, we have reason number 6. The taunt that Batista does when he grabs the rope and shakes it violently that Montez Ford has shamelessly stolen from him, you know? I love that taunt. It's great. You know, it's very distinctive, or it was back then, and it was a good way to signal for the finishing move. Batista really understood how to use taunts effectively. You know, he did that, and then he transitioned that immediately to the thumbs up, thumbs down taunt, and then the little like move thing he does before he does Batista bomb, right? You know, the little like snap that he does, like he's like powering up. You know, compare that to Kenny Omega doing taunts, to Kaki Omega doing taunts, right? He doesn't get it, but Batista gets it. So there you go. That's what I gotta say about that. Reason number 7, the thumbs up and thumbs down taunt. One of the best taunts of all time, motherfucks. Now, you may think I'm exaggerating, but I'm not. I'll explain why. This is part of the storyline. When Evolution betrayed Randy Orton, Triple H gave him a thumbs up, and they made it a thumbs down, right? And when Triple H was going to do the same thing to Batista, Batista kind of took the first strike, right? He betrayed Triple H. He did the thumbs up and thumbs down and attacked Triple H. And then he made it into his own taunt, right? He took the element that defined his character. This is how smart Batista was as a wrestling mind. A lot of people don't give him credit because he's like a big, strong guy. So he doesn't get the credit of being the creative genius that he obviously was, cucks, right? So he takes that defining moment of his career when he turns face and he does a thumbs up, thumbs down, and he makes that into his signature taunt, right? To basically say, I'm this guy now, right? That's fucking awesome. Next up, reason number 8. The Batista bomb is an awesome finisher that fits him very well. Now, I remember when he started doing the Batista bomb back in the day, I always thought to myself, what the hell? This guy's doing a power bomb finisher? Like, you know, in the indies, people are doing like, you know, spinning cutters and all those other things, right? But then I realized that number 1, power bombs are awesome. And number 2, the Batista bomb is especially awesome. You know, a lot of people think it's like a sit-up power bomb. You know, no, because Luke Harper does a sit-up power bomb, and he does it pretty well if I do say so myself. But the Batista bomb is especially awesome looking because Batista doesn't, like, I don't want to say he doesn't execute it as well, but basically, like, you know, instead of just jumping and sitting down, he kind of falls backwards on his ass, and then he brings the person down. And then when he brings the person down to like halfway, then he slams him, right? So it's not like a Luke Harper one where it's just like a slam all the way through. It's like a half jackknife power bomb, and then midway through he slams him, right? No, you'll notice that if you like see it next time. You know what I'm saying? Batista bomb is awesome, and the fact that what's it called? The fact that you know, Batista sometimes not botched the Batista bomb, but sometimes he could barely lift the guy, made it realistic looking. You know what I mean? It wasn't this move that was always going to be pretty, but it was always going to look badass. You know what I mean? So that's what I got to say about that, motherfucks. You know what I'm saying? Reason number 9, he was part of Evolution, and Evolution was obviously awesome, right? Evolution is another thing that I thought wasn't that great when I was a kid, but I realized now that they were awesome. You know, it was just a great concept, you know, like they've tried to replicate it so many times. I mean, I understand it's like a spin-off of the Four Horsemen in many ways, but it was what it was. It was great is what it was. Reason number 10, when he was part of Evolution, he had the Evolution theme song, which is a great theme song. It goes a little something like this. Evolution is a mystery. Something like that, you know what I'm saying? Great, great song, you know? It was awesome. Reason number 11, he put Triple H over in his retirement match. and basically saved that WrestleMania card. Now, a lot of people understand that a wrestler, when they retire, have to go out on their backs. But Batista was effectively retired already. And it wouldn't have been unreasonable for Batista to ask them for a win, especially considering that they screwed him out of his WrestleMania moment when Daniel Bryan stole his spot, right? So, but he, being a good company man, he came back and he put Triple H over, you know? And that was pretty cool because it's like the implications were almost like as good as Batista was, right? He never was able to overcome Triple H. Now, I know he beat Triple H several times, but when it was all said and done, Triple H came out the superior man, right? And he retired Batista, which you never would have thought, right? You never would have thought that, like, the guy in Evolution who's supposed to be like one of the future guys would be retired by Triple H, right? So that was pretty cool, I thought. And he saved that card. It was one of the only matches that year that I thought that I was looking forward to myself. So it was what it was, motherfucks. Next up, reason number 12. We have this reason. He had great matches with people like JBL, Undertaker, and Cena. I remember that I went to see a pay-per-view. I don't remember what pay-per-view it was, but I saw it live, and I don't remember where it was. But the main event was Batista versus Undertaker, and I liked Undertaker more than Batista. And Batista won. He hit him with a Batista bomb and pinned him, and I was like, wow, that was a fucking great match. I remember thinking to myself, that was an incredible match. That was so good, you know? Like, I didn't really like Batista that much, so like it was one of those pay-per-views where I'm like, oh, the main event doesn't really entice me that much. But it didn't matter because the match they put on was fantastic, and Batista won. You know, I think Undertaker had beaten him at some point, like maybe at WrestleMania. I don't think he fought at WrestleMania. But whatever, Undertaker had beaten him recently, and Batista like got his revenge basically, which was great. But he's also had good matches with Cena, of course, and JBL, obviously, and of course Triple H. He's had incredible matches with Triple H, and he's always been awesome. You know, he's even had incredible matches with like Christian, so he's just great. All right. Reason number 13. His own theme song, motherfucks. His own theme song was great. You know what I'm talking about? Oh, walk alone. You know what I'm saying? He walks alone, motherfuckers. It was great. This is how it goes. Place where no one follows me. I walk alone. That's my singing voice, cuts. So that was a great theme song. One of my favorite ones of the time and of all times. Reason 14. Batista always felt like a big deal. He always felt like a big fucking deal, right? When he was the Deacon Batista, he stood out. He has incredible presence, and he felt like the attraction, right? He felt like Devon was his lackey, not the other way around, you know? Then, further down the line, when he joined Evolution, he also was awesome in Evolution, and you could tell that this guy was primed to do great things. You could just tell, you know? They had him feud with Kane, and it was believable. At this time, Kane was like one of the top guys, right? And on Raw, you know what I mean? Not for nothing. He wasn't even a top guy on SmackDown. He was one of the top guys on Raw. And he was feuding with Kane, and it was believable. It was like, yo, this rookie is feuding with Kane, but look at him. He's a beast. You know, he's just presented as a big deal always, and that's awesome. And the reason he's presented for a big deal, as a big deal, is reason 15. He is strong, motherfuckers. He is strong. You know, that's very, very important. And reason 16, he has a great physique, motherfuckers, because a lot of people are strong, like Big Show and Mark Henry, but don't have that great physique. And that great physique is what puts Batista above people like Mark Henry and Big Show in terms of like where they fall on the card. You understand what I'm saying? Reason 17, he once stuck a flag up the ass of either Sylvain Grenier or René Dupree. I don't remember, or maybe it was Rob Conway. I don't remember. But he took like either the French, I think it was the French flag. It may have been the flag of Quebec, but I think it was the French flag because I think La Resistance was like, you know, they were just like French at that time. They weren't Canadian yet, right? So like, and he took the flag and he stuck it up the guy's ass basically, right? He stuck it between the guy's thighs and the guy clenched his thighs so that the flag could like, you know, stick there. Right? Which I thought was very disrespectful, obviously, but it was a way that they were trying to put him over, right? He literally sodomized someone with a flag. I'm not even sure why that's a reason, motherfuckers, now that I think about it. Reason 18. He has spoken out on record several times about how wrestling is all about storytelling and not about this in-ring garbage that people want you to believe it's about, right? That's great. Keep that up, Batista. that's always been a good thing about him. He's been saying it like it is, and he's been saying it like it was in the context of Daniel Bryan, right? It's like, yo, you can't let the fans hijack the show, basically, right? There's a plan here, you know? But it was what it was. They went with Daniel Bryan, and look how that paid off. Daniel Bryan, like a month after that, like was injured, was out for like a year and a half. Then he came back, they got injured again, went out for another 15 months, and then eventually he retired. Then he came back from retirement, and now he's gone again. You know what I mean? Like, that was not a good gamble. They messed up. You know, a lot of people think that was a good move by WWE, but it wasn't, because all it did was it created one WrestleMania moment. And the argument that people were making back then was like, well, what makes more sense? Pushing Daniel Bryan, who could be a star for the next 10 years, or pushing Batista? The answer was obvious. Pushing Batista, motherfuckers, because Batista would have been a bigger star. He would have continued to grow and become a bigger star than Daniel Bryan, as he already is a bigger star than Daniel Bryan. And Daniel Bryan will never become a bigger star than Batista. So there you have it, motherfuckers. Reason number 19. He was a SmackDown guy, and that was when SmackDown was at its best, motherfuckers. I'll never forget it, right? Raw drafted John Cena, which means that Raw had both champions. They had Batista and Cena. So Theodore Long, player, he comes out and he makes a 6-man elimination match, right? To determine the new SmackDown champion, basically, right? The match ends up to the last two guys, Christian and JBL. Two of my favorite wrestlers at the time, and two of my favorites of all time. JBL eventually hits the clothesline from hell and wins the match. So you're like, oh shit, JBL's back on top. Then Batista is revealed as like a draft pick. Keep in mind that at that episode, they had revealed that Christian had been drafted, and Christian was like arguably, like at that time, Christian was like one of the top guys in the company for sure. He was like probably the most over guy after like Shawn Michaels, you know what I'm saying? So they had just drafted him. They had drafted Booker T, or they already had Booker T, JBL, Kurt Angle. I think Kurt Angle was drafted at the time, but he came back very soon after. Rey Mysterio, all these awesome guys, right? And now Batista as well. You know, they had all these dudes that were like, it was the best SmackDown that's ever been. Eddie Guerrero, you know what I mean? All these people that were like Eddie Guerrero and Rey Mysterio were like 100% SmackDown guys. I think like they may have been traded to Raw for like a week here and there, but they were SmackDown dudes, right? It was the best SmackDown roster ever, and it was led by the champion, Batista, motherfucks. Reason number 20. He has by far exceeded all expectations that were placed on him with respect to his acting, right? Now, Batista has turned out to be quite a decent actor. You know what I mean? For a long time, people probably thought that this guy's not going to be a good actor. He's going to be just like a meathead type. No, Batista is a pretty good actor. He's believable, and he's charming and charismatic, which is very important, obviously. Reason number 21, one of my personal favorites. He was in the movie Stuber, and Stuber was a great movie, motherfuckers. Stuber was awesome. If you haven't seen Stuber, watch it. I started watching it only because of Batista, because I don't like the guy that plays the cuck, that Indian actor, I forget his name, like Kumail or something, right? That guy, he always plays the cuck in every movie. I don't like that guy. He annoys me very much, like, because I feel like he actually is like that in real life. Like, he's a big pussy, you know what I'm saying? So I'm like, I don't really like this guy at all. I don't think he's funny. But in this movie, he was great. But of course, the movie was stolen by Batista, right? And the movie's fantastic. I'm not going to ruin it for you, but I'll just tell you this. The movie is basically Batista plays Batista, who's also a cop, and then he is taken around an Uber by this guy, right? By the cut guy. And the cut guy is like the biggest pussy in the world. And basically Batista is like, you got to be a man once in a while, you little bitch, right? That's like the whole movie, right? And then they also solve crimes. But it's fantastic. If you haven't seen it, I recommend it highly, motherfucks. Reason 22. Despite Batista's quirky shit, he was masculine. You know, this is a very interesting point because he had a lot of feminine traits too. Like he had like a pierced belly button, you know? What the fuck is up with that? I'll never know, you know? He had a tattoo around his belly button. I don't know what this guy's obsession was with his belly button, but it is what it is, you know? So he was a little picturesque, right? He had like all these tattoos. Like you could tell that he kind of like tweezed his eyebrows, it looked like, you know? So he was kind of like if he didn't look the way he did, if he wasn't like 300 pounds of muscle, you'd be like, oh, look at this sissy, right? But clearly he's not a sissy, motherfuckers. Despite that, he was so masculine that he was able to essentially eclipse all of this feminine shit, like having like your belly button pierced for apparently no reason. I don't know, who the fuck knows, right? Reason number 23. He was a believable champion, right? One of the greatest dream matches of all time that hasn't happened. That could potentially still happen, but right now, no one would want to see it. is Brock Lesnar versus Batista, right? This is, I always talk about how the word dream match gets thrown around a lot. Now that Kenny Omega apparently went to TNA, I didn't get to watch it because I realized I don't get Access TV, right? But now that Kenny Omega went to TNA Wrestling, all of a sudden people are talking about dream matches, right? They're like, oh, the Gallows and Anderson versus the Young Bucks, dream match. It's not a dream match. You know what I'm saying? That's not a dream match at all, you know? That's ridiculous. But anyways, it is what it is. I don't really care about that. The point I'm trying to make here isn't that at all. The point is that he is a believable champion, right? And a lot of these people that are believable champions are the same wrestlers where you can actually consider dream matches for. You can be like, oh, who is this world champion gonna fight in a dream match? And the answer would be Brock Lesnar, right? That would be awesome. And the reason it would be awesome is because he's believable. It would be awesome for the same reason it was awesome when Drew McIntyre eliminated Brock Lesnar from the Rumble, right? It is believable. But these jabrones, they want to see like Daniel Bryan versus Brock Lesnar. Daniel Bryan versus Brock Lesnar is preposterous. You know, Daniel Bryan versus Brock Lesnar might end with the death of Daniel Bryan, even in a fake sport. I don't think Brock Lesnar can control his strength to the point where he can protect someone as frail as Daniel Bryan. I'm not even joking, motherfuckers. So him versus Batista would be a dream match, and that is because, again, reason 23, Batista is a believable champion. Reason 24, he was good at wrestling, motherfuckers. He was good at wrestling. If that hasn't been made clear, it should be clear now. He had good matches. He had a good understanding of what makes wrestling good. And his promos, I'm not going to say they were fantastic, but they were good enough, you know? And he had a lot of good off-the-cuff moments where someone's like, I hate you, Batista, and he's like, I hate you too. You know, that kind of shit. That shit was always great. Batista was always good to watch. He was always entertaining, and he was good at wrestling. And reason 25, by far the most important one in my opinion. Batista is the person that made the World Heavyweight title seem important. The title was very, very, very new. It basically had one champion this entire time, right? It had Triple H. Now, I know Randy Orton won it for a month. I know Benoit won it for a little bit. I know Shawn Michaels won it for like a week, right? And Goldberg won it. But that title was very, very heavily associated with Triple H. My mouth is getting dry, motherfuckers. Keto diet, you know what I'm saying? So, like, Triple H carried that title very, very far, you know? Triple H main evented several WrestleManias with that title. So don't get me wrong, Triple H did a lot of work too. But afterwards, the next person that could be identified with this title was by far Batista. He was the next guy that felt like he was the real champion, you know? He had a long-ass run. He won it at WrestleMania. You know what I mean? And more importantly, he had to carry it to SmackDown, right? If you remember, the entire premise of the World Heavyweight title was the WWE title is established already. So we can put that on the B show and use the title to prop up the B show as being the show that has the main title, right? Then we can reintroduce this new title as the main title, the one that's going to main event pay-per-views and it's going to main event WrestleMania, and give it to Triple H because he is a veteran at this point and he's someone that can use his platform and the platform of Monday Night Raw to bring prestige to this title, right? But the title was still new. However, when Batista, right, a new champion, in a new show with the inferior title, he felt like the inferior champion. You know, John Cena was clearly the guy they were behind, right? Even though Batista won the title at the main event, that was largely because of Triple H. And Triple H had to be in the main event and because Batista won the Rumble. The star that was made was John Cena. John Cena ended up being the A-list and Batista became the B-list. No shame in that whatsoever, of course. But he was secondary, obviously, to Cena, right? And despite that, Batista made the world title feel important. I mean, he was obviously helped with people like Undertaker. You know, he wrestled Undertaker, Edge, all these people eventually that like were important guys that wanted the title and they couldn't get it because Batista was beating their ass, right? But he made the title important. And the World Heavyweight title, I don't know why they brought up the Universal title. They should have just been like, yo, motherfuckers, the World Heavyweight title is back. It would feel so much better. It would feel like a real title. Because now, I don't consider the Universal title a title at all. Like, I think it's a horseshit title. I mean, only recently is it getting some prestige by the fact that it's carried by Roman Reigns. But even so, I mean, let's be real. It's carried by Roman Reigns, but he's wrestling like Jey Uso for it. He's wrestling jabrones. So who the fuck cares, right? What I have to say is this: Batista can be credited mostly with taking a title that had very little value and making it a very valuable title, to the point where the World Heavyweight title closed WrestleMania, right, while being a SmackDown title. A storyline that was based on SmackDown closed the show with a title that is not the WWE title, right? Because Brock Lesnar and Kurt Angle closed WrestleMania, and that was a SmackDown feud. However, that was for the WWE Championship. So it closes the event because it's the WWE title. Triple H closed WrestleMania several times with the World Heavyweight title, but he was always on Raw. But when Edge and Undertaker wrestled for the World Heavyweight title, which Batista had propped up to where it was, right? They wrestled in the main event for the world title on a SmackDown story and had the best match of the night, basically. So there you go, motherfucks. There you go. That's what I have to say about that. Batista is awesome, and these were 25 reasons why, motherfuckers.